So picking up where the previous chapter left off, Kiku's arm came off from Kaido's blast, and I like how they're like immediately tending to it. We see Izo, I guess wrapping it up, and then Kinemon like ignites his sword and then cauterizes it, and then she's good to go. Like I said in the previous chapter, this could eventually be fixed by law because that, tends to happen with these type of incidents, but also, I just want to put it out there, like I also said before, that there's a good chance that all of the scabbards die in this battle. And I know that Kinemon even addresses that, where he says, like, don't flatter yourself, Kaido, being killed by you would bring us no honor. And maybe it's not necessarily about them gaining honor, because we know that not every single character can gain honor in this series, or especially in this arc. Although you would think that it's definitely within their own respective character arcs to gain somewhat of an honor. So maybe they're not directly killed by Kaido, or maybe they take themselves out trying to take him down, because that obviously happens a lot in this series as well. But I just also wanted to point that out because I don't know, I'm getting so many death flags from the scabbards here. I mean, of course, it's a possibility that none of them die, but I just think that it's unlikely that that would happen. At least some of them will go down in this battle. But that also brings us to, like, how much longer is this individual battle going to take? The scabbards versus Kaido. Unknown at this point, if we want to believe what Kaido is saying here, where he transforms back into his human form, or, of course, presumably human form. There's a whole bunch of theories and speculations out there as to what's going on with Kaido, truly. So like I said, are we going to believe him? Or should I say, are we going to believe Oda? I don't know. I mean, you'd think that, like, maybe it would go on a little bit longer, or this is truly the last act to this battle. I mean, it hasn't really been going on that long. I mean, it's only kind of just begun within the last couple chapters, but maybe this is one of those fights that will have brevity to it, even though this has, been built up for such a long time, even within the actual timeline of the series. But this could be like the big ultimate jobbing for Kaido. Like, he just goes ham on them, and we see Kaido like actually really trying for once and showing what he's really capable of, because we've only really had tastes of it up until this point. Like, even when he went against Oden in the flashback, we hardly really got to see anything of him. I mean, he only really beat Oden because Oden was distracted by, the Mane Mane no Mi. So I suppose that we do have to see Kaido try somewhat before he goes into his final overall battle, which will obviously include Luffy and maybe other participants. It remains to be seen at this point. From what we've seen so far with Kaido, at least, it seems like he's had better results when he's in his human form as opposed to his, full-blown dragon Zoan form. At least on like a concentrated scale. Obviously not destructive output because he, blew up castles and landscapes, and, he can fire all that lightning and air blast stuff, but like just individually with that club, he's obviously devastating. Like, one-shotting gear for Luffy is a significant feat of power in this series. So back to the question of, is he really going to end it? I assume this is probably the truth at this point, considering that, like, he's not going to be messing around with his dragon form and all that stuff. He's just going to be like swinging that club. And hopefully we get to see Kaido like really get serious, since he is seemingly going against like a group of Yonko commander levels, if not even stronger than that at this point. So he's going to have to put some kind of effort into this. Once again in this chapter, we get the little, hey, let's give Luffy, Jinbei, and Sanji something to do while they're on their way to the top of the tower. And then Oda throws in those two new headliners. I just think this is because Oda had like these funny ideas in his head, and he was like, you know what, I just want to put them in there just because I want to see them on the page, because, I guess that's how Oda is sometimes. And this also could just be more padding for the anime episodes, which they obviously have been doing. And a lot of that had to do with the Beast Pirates. So maybe this and the other fight in the previous chapter with the headliner dudes, these fights are going to be drawn out in the anime. I mean, it's pictured as Sanji and Jinbei one-shotting these dudes in the manga, but in the anime, it could be like this competitive fight for all we know. Let us not forget about Batman after all. So coming to the whole sequence with Queen and the ice demons and everything, I'm curious as to where this is headed. I hope this isn't just something that is drawn out for no reason and then everybody just goes their way after this individual sequence is resolved. And we do see Orochi's guys in this one panel where they're like not cool with what Queen is doing. So I'm not gonna say they're gonna like completely turn here, but I guess that is a possibility. Which brings me to, I assume, or at least I hope, that everybody that's down here is eventually all going to join forces and try to take down Queen. I think that would be really cool because Queen, I assume, would lose that. I mean, especially since Zoro is down there, but also Apu, of course. And I also think that this is setting up Apu's face turn, which I knew that he was inevitably going to have. I speculate that all of the supernovas are going to be present for the very last arc, which is very likely going to take place at Laugh Tale. So Apu kind of has to make it out of this arc, and not necessarily as a good guy, just like a tweener, in-betweener character, kind of like how Hawkins is right now. So if everybody does team up to take down Queen, then I assume Apu is going to be a part of that. And as for the antibody vial that Queen gives him, this could be the actual thing, or maybe it's a fake thing. I mean, both, we've seen both instances of, you know, similar situations like this happen in One Piece before. Sometimes the villain gives them the actual key or whatever it is, and then sometimes it's a fake. Maybe it's the real thing this time, just to progress this story further and not have it drawn out any longer than it needs to be, possibly. And then coming to the end of the chapter, we see Yamato standing up to Sasaki and his men. And this is like the moment that I've been, talking about, how Yamato kind of has to prove herself to Momonosuke and Shinobu at the same time, and also reminding us that, hey, Yamato was at Oden's execution. She witnessed it. That's what really inspired her. And she also saw Shinobu's, whole big speech that she gave at Oden's execution as well. So that's tying those two together. But it's also further establishing how powerful Yamato is. She takes that blast face first. It doesn't really do anything to her, and then she like one-shots one of those dudes. So I also, like I was saying in the previous chapter, this is going to set up Yamato's first big fight, if not her big fight, where she's, I assume, taking on Sasaki here, because Sasaki's like, hey, our mission ends when we take out Momonosuke. So he's not going to be like, okay, well, you're strong, goodbye. It's like, no, he's really trying to take out Momonosuke. Yamato is going to defend him because she says, I'm willing to die for you. So yeah, further establishing that bond and hopefully setting up this big fight between Yamato and Sasaki. And that also could mean that Sasaki is one of the more powerful Flying Six that there are, because Yamato already kind of handily took care of Ulti, who this could be implying is maybe one of the weaker Flying Six, possibly. It's difficult to say right now because we haven't seen all of them, in action yet. But I do have high hopes for the future of Yamato in these chapters, taking on Sasaki, hopefully. I think that'll be a pretty interesting fight, especially since we don't know anything about Sasaki. We don't even know what kind of fruit he has yet. So that's going to be a cool reveal as well. But let me know what you think about this chapter in the comments. If you like the review, guys, please give it a like and please subscribe. Trying to reach 100K by the end of the year. Probably not going to happen, but I can at least try. I also have a Patreon, Twitch. Check those out, please, and have a great day. I'll see you in the next one.